lightning through the sky. I traveled through the air and was placed upon a rock, overlooking what was there. And then I saw the people. They motioned with their hands.
Console vs PC episode 1. Today I want to talk about customization, I want to talk about hardware, software and peripherals, and my main focus will be on the limitations of consoles versus the freedom of a PC. Now, I know I already sound biased, but no, limitations can be good and bad, as I will later discuss. I myself am an avid fan of both PC and console games, and I've played a lot of both, too much of both, and so I'm going to give you this objective look into the topics I discuss, into future topics. The whole series is going to be objective. Of course, you can have your own opinions, you can leave them down below in the comment section, you can discuss future topics, you can suggest future topics, you can call me rude names. That comment section is a wonderful tool that you can use and of course abuse. Now we'll move on to hardware. Now the console really doesn't do well here, as obviously you can't really upgrade much. You can upgrade your hard drive space, but that's about it. You can't get in there and alter the graphics card or the processor. You can't improve performance that way. You are stuck with what you bought. There's no upgrading, and that can be both a good and a bad thing. It's good in that you cannot access your system. You can't tamper with it. You can't mess around and make a mistake and cause damage. And of course, you don't have to worry about minimum specifications. You're always going to be able to run the game that's made for your system. So there's nothing wrong with just leaving your system as it is for 8 years. You're always going to be able to play. You're never going to have to worry about that. On the side of PC gaming, though, you can of course upgrade. You can improve performance tenfold by upgrading your GPU, your graphics card, and you can just really tweak it as well. I know a lot of people go into the BIOS, the UEFI, and tweak to overclock. Of course, you can overclock, go past the stock settings recommended by manufacturers, and you can really make your computer a beast by tweaking it yourself. Of course, the trade-off here is that there is a bit of a risk, and you can cause damage if you don't know what you're doing, but most people don't take that kind of risk. So for consoles, you can have that plug-in and play capability. You can not worry about specifications. You can just simply leave it there and it will always run the games designed for the console. On PC, you can change your parts, you can improve performance that way, you can tweak, and you can overall get better looking games, better quality graphics, higher frames per second ahead of the generation of console. The next thing to talk about is software. Now, consoles right out there with the bloody exclusives. They have games that PC players will never get to play unless they pick up a console. I'm a little bitter from E3 with how many exclusives there were. Metal Gear Solid 5 I really want to play, and I just want so many games, and they're not always on your system. Also on a console, you have a lot less piracy going on. Your console is more alluring to developers. They want to develop for a console as sales actually occur, whereas on PC, piracy is a huge problem. I have yet to mention price, and I was going to mention it with hardware, but the reason I've left it in software is because, yes, consoles are cheaper, and everyone uses this argument, but the software adds up, the peripherals add up. New games cost a lot more than PC games, and just imagine Steam sales. There's nothing like that on consoles. When Xbox have a special deal on, you can go straight to Steam and it will be a third of the price, the sale price, and it's not good. They make their money back after the hardware has been sold. That being said, obviously games are tangible, are physical copies. On console you can trade them in. You can still trade them in next generation, thank God. And of course PCs have the digital distribution method. You don't really get physical copies anymore, at least I don't buy them. I use Steam for the deals or Green Man Gaming, etc. And you can get good deals there. Then of course comes the final point for PC, which is you can mod. You can mod your games, you can download user-created content, enhance your experience that way. You've seen Woody and Buzz terrorizing Liberty City, you've seen Iron Man flying about, and it's just made the experience so much fun for me. Playing games that I've played on console, again on PC, better graphics and more just more features, not necessarily by the developers, but by these users, and I think it's fantastic. On a console, you have the vanilla, don't you? You have the stable perhaps, but you have a vanilla version. There's no access from outside sources. You're getting what the developers want you to have. And it's a shame. It's a shame that developers don't embrace their creative community a bit more. We see it with Halo. I'll give it to them. They accept community-made maps and they implement them into the rotation. It keeps the game fresh, and I wish more games would do it. I wish it was a mainstream feature. Lastly, we have peripherals. Now, for PC, there are spaceship keyboards, there are space rocket mice, and you can really customize your experience. Perhaps too much so. Perhaps you give yourself a greater advantage than someone using just a basic mouse and keyboard, a basic monitor. You could be running at 120 frames per second, giving yourself a significant advantage. I have seen it at 120 Hertz, and it looks great, and I really think you can get an advantage, especially over someone with a very basic system using it and getting 30 frames per second. You're going to have a much better experience there, and if they're using a very cheap mouse and keyboard, then of course you're going to do better with extra buttons, higher DPI, you've got macro keys on your keyboard, then that is definitely going to give you the edge. On console, you have everyone running the same specs. Everyone's running it at either 60 or 30 frames per second. Their monitors don't really matter. You've got your standard controllers. Some people have the SCUF controllers with extra buttons, yay. And of course, some people use headsets, some people don't. One of the main appeals that I hear a lot of people say that consoles have is that you can simply sit down, lie down, and play your games. Now, for those of you on PC, you know you can just plug in a controller and do exactly the same. I have a wireless controller linked up to my PC, I lie down, and I play games on my PC. And it's exactly the same experience, of course, except you're at a higher frame rate. You have better performance, etc. And I think a lot more people will grasp this concept in the time to come. You have Steam's big picture, etc. So I really think that's not a valid point. And so I think what we can take away from peripherals is simply that customization is pretty heavy on PCs, and perhaps too heavy. Maybe it gives you an advantage, maybe it does not. When it comes to customization, I think it's clear that a PC has more options, many more options, but it's not always a good thing. Consoles have their limitations, they have advantages due to those limitations, and I think for those that want a quick, easy way of gaming, those that don't want to tamper with their computer, they don't want to shop around, they just get the one system that everyone has, I think console is the way to go. Feel free to discuss this further down below. I will respond to every single one of you that makes a comment, and that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and let me know. My video on the left is my Nvidia exclusive camo, and the video on the right is my Call of Duty versus Battlefield video. And yes, this has been me, Mac the Gun, coming in your ears. Goodbye.